Okay. What do we got? We got what I miss most about old school gaming from your boy Darth Microtransaction TV.
The first game I ever saw was a game called Descent by Interplay, which is a space game with 360-degree of movement where you can just shoot a bunch of monsters. It was kind of like the space answer to Doom or Duke 'em Nukem. Like it was, you go through linear maps, destroy a reactor at the end, fly out. The second game I ever saw was a game called Super Metroid that I watched my dad
Mm.
play when he killed Mother Brain. It scared the bejesus out of me.
Bro. I think the first game I ever like watched and played, I think it had to have been like Super Mario Brothers on the NES or the SNES. Whatever the that and Duck Hunt. I think those were like the first video games I ever played. And naturally, whenever you go to play Duck Hunt for the first time, what do? You don't stand back and like try to aim your gun like you're supposed to. No, you just plug in that orange and gray thing, stick it up to the screen on the glass screen on the CRT TV. You clink the screen a little bit, and then whichever way the ducks are, that's the way you move the gun on top of the glass screen. And then you just pull the trigger, and then yeah, that's how you play Duck Hunt. But you couldn't really do that with Mario. No, sir. Freaking Mario. Now you just go and you dunk on Goombas. You hit your head on like bricks, hoping a mushroom would come out or a star. And you get through a couple levels, and then eventually, once you get to the underwater level, you just die. That's my experience with Mario.
After that, the game that I saw next that I remember that made the impact on me would have been my brother playing classic RuneScape back in
Oh,
2001. No,
bro. I used to think that game was called Run Escape. And I was like, why do these graphics look like shit? This is stupid. Because I think at the same time, because there were a couple people in like my local library playing RuneScape, and I was like, oh, how do you play? And they're just like, yeah, it's a website. You just log on. And I couldn't figure like I think I made an account, but I couldn't figure out like anything about the game. So I was just like, this is stupid. I'm gonna go play World of Warcraft.
each one of these games added some kind of sense of curiosity to me. I would say wonder if I was going to be on my Disney arc. But what happened was when I look at these games, it made me wonder what's in this world, like what's going on, whether the things I'm supposed to be opposed to, whether the things making my character strong. It was a sense of curiosity. Now, this is a
The sense of curiosity in old video games. Video gaming in the video game industry is not that old. I mean, depending on who you ask, it's like it's old as hell or it's not that old. Like I'm 34 and I kind of grew up with video games. I wasn't there like in the beginning with Pong and shit. I'm not that old, but I mean, Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt, and then from there on, I mean, I was like super addicted to video games. I was always, and what I get after, I think I got like the Sega, and I played a shitload of Sonic, and then after the Sega, it was like, it was either N64 or PlayStation. I don't remember. It was about the same time, and then I had a ton of fun with those consoles. But it was PlayStation 1, N64, maybe PlayStation 2, and Xbox about the same time. But the whole curiosity, like video games bringing out the curiosity in you or in me or whatever, I think it is just a product of the time, to be honest. And i I would kind of lean on like it's nostalgia, like nostalgic, to just be like a wandering adventurer and to try to figure out what makes you powerful, what are you weak to. If I do this, spam this sort of attack, is this like the good attack? Stuff like that. I mean, one of the games that did that for me was Shadow of the Colossus. When it first came out on, I think, PlayStation 2, that was, I mean, for some people it was like the Zelda games, but for me it was Shadow of the Colossus. I was like, this is awesome.
Since that for me has been slowly being removed from games. I'm going to give you an example. Black Myth
Oh,
Wukong comes out tomorrow.
yeah.
Here's what I already know about it. I know what monsters I'm facing. I
Mm-hmm.
know who I am. I know how my character will power up. I know what the world looks like. I know the general story
Yeah.
around it, and I know the progression systems. Now, I was actually really interested.
Okay, I don't know anything about the progression systems. I know pretty much everything he just said too. I know some of the monsters, some of the fight styles, the general gameplay of it. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that's just, I mean, how else are you supposed to market a video game? I mean, back then, literally nobody had any reputation, so nobody really had anything to go off of. Honestly, in terms of like, oh, what can we expect about? What can we expect for this video game? What can we expect about that video game? I mean, shit, like the genres were just forming. You know, nowadays we have like a zillion different forks in the road, different umbrellas of different types of genres. This is like a subgenre of Souls-like. This is a subgenre of a roguelike. This is like combination shooter roguelike. It's like a third-person shooter. It's a stealth shooter. And there's like so many subgenres. And I think that's just as time goes on, you can expect to just be less surprised and I don't want to say less immersed. I would hope so. I mean, because you know, like as the older I get, the less immersed I get, and it's up to the video game to, you know, solve that issue, hopefully. But I don't know, man. But I do get what you're talking about in terms of the all the new video games that come out. You're just, the curiosity is just not there anymore. But I don't know. How do you innovate on some of these, on just, well, not video games in general? How do you innovate on them? Like most video games are just simply based on the simple objective of a health bar, your health bar. Just take away that guy's health bar. That's it. It's all based on like conflict and like conflict resolution, stuff like that. That's a lot of video games. Yeah, you got like stuff like racing and sports and whatnot, but for the most part, it's like, how you gonna take that guy's health bar away? With a sword, with a gun, with a magic spell, whatever. I mean, a lot of games have already been done. You know, I do not envy being like a video game developer trying to rein in like a new IP. That seems hard as fuck. And there's a couple industries that have been going through that. You know, it's like movies, TV shows, music, storytelling, just in general. Everything has seemingly been done already, and I don't know. It's up to the creator to, I don't know, add their flair, add their twist to the thing, and make it unique and original in some way.
Interested in playing this game until I learned basically everything there is to learn about it. And now I feel like if I go to play that game, what I'm going to be accomplishing is going through the steps that I feel like are already laid out for me. It took the game from a world that I would have entered into just knowing exactly what I'm about to do. It almost is now a chore list in which I go down and hit a checkbox. If I got this power, I got this power, I killed this boss. Now this isn't.
But I think that is an issue more so for content creators that make video game content, not so much a regular person. I mean, me, like, I kind of pay attention to like Black Myth Wukong and whatnot, and it's like I kind of pay attention, kind of not really. I'm just like, oh, a new trailer out. Oh, maybe I'll like comb through it and be like, okay, it still looks good. I'll try it out on day one, maybe. I realized that I was doing this like a couple years ago, like ruining games for myself and just like metaing the fuck out of a game. Like, what's the best weapon? What's the best this? What's the best that? And I realized I was doing it, and I was like, well, what's the point? What am I doing this for? This is stupid. I need to stop looking at guides and shit like that. And for a couple games, I just stopped looking at guides, and I just quickly realized that the fun was coming back to me.
Isn't really that big of a deal in games that are like single player games. Just don't watch the videos, don't do the, don't look up the reviews, go in spoiler free. I'm blind to a lot of games still and purposely have been.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. There's been a good amount of games in recent years that have come out, and on day one, they haven't been the best. I can reference that giant mural of like developer apologies of, oh, sorry guys, game came out on day one and it was complete utter dog shit. Sorry, but we're gonna dedicate ourselves to making it good. It's like, yeah, like normal people don't give a shit if a game is bad on day one. If it's bad on day one, it's bad forever in their mind. Um, and players don't really want to waste their time. So I'll say this, like when I was young, I didn't care about wasting my time and like exploring a video game and all the systems, and I didn't care about making mistakes because I don't know, it just I didn't care about being efficient with my time. I didn't have to worry about money. My mom and dad paid for like shit and whatnot, so I had no responsibility, so I could just enjoy all like a video game and all the ups and downs of it. But now as like an adult, I only got like X amount of time to play. I want to be efficient. I want to have fun, but I kind of ruin the fun when I just get frustrated after I like lose to like a boss or something, or I fuck up a mission a couple times. And I'm just like, oh fuck this, I'm just gonna go look up a video. You know?
And so every now and then the live streams we do like a blind playthrough, like Grim Dawn. When I heard this game was good, I didn't go watch a bunch of videos on it. I just opened up the game and played it. But there is a genre that this sense of curiosity for me has been almost abolished. I'm referring to MMOs. This is my favorite genre of all time. MMORPGs. Right now I'm literally cutting trees in RuneScape. But this genre has been, in my opinion, destroyed, because now what happens is instead of
Oh yeah, same. Like MMOs for me, like I was a huge like World of Warcraft player. I tried to play like Final Fantasy, like 14, and I was like, meh, it's not bad, but it's just not for me. I started with WoW and I played it for like many years, and the more pay to win bullshit that they got in there, I was just like, okay, this isn't for me anymore. I'm done. And buff this, nerf that. This shit's too hard. You can't progress unless you join a guild. Only then can you get the best gear, and even then, it's like, oh, the new patch comes out which nulls the current gear, or the new expansion comes out, it nulls the current gear. Like, oh, it's fucking. It's just like running a treadmill, and it's annoying. And there's no permanency.
When I log into an MMO and I feel like everyone around me has just landed on the beachhead and we're all sieging this new world together, and I'm getting DMs from friends like, oh, I found this cool dungeon over here, or you're hearing people like, oh, what weapon does he have? These types of things, this is sort of gone in this day and age.
Yeah.
I think a large part of this is the fact.
Yeah, most games are literally solved even before day one on release. I mean, shit, depending on what game, the game could be solved 3 days before release. Yeah, I mean, gamers, like as a whole, have just become incredibly efficient, with things like data mining. Who would think to data mine like a single player game? There's somebody out there doing it. I mean, even before like the advent of the internet, before everyone was sharing all their information for attention and whatnot, you had websites like GameFAQs, Game FAQs. Remember that one? It was like a guide website of like someone that beat the game already, and they took the time to like type everything out. And I've been on there a couple times, like for like tough parts of older video games. So it's just I could easily say like, ooh, the internet ruined video games, or at least like story video games. That could be said as well.
that gaming has become more min-maxed as we got older as
Yeah.
adults. The amount of time we have has been neutered. You got jobs to do. If you're
Yeah.
not a content creator who plays video games for a living, you got families to feed. You have things in which you have to accomplish. So you're
But with that, I think when I was young, video games were like a child's thing. Only kids played video games, but like now, video games are not so much a child's thing, and they are more a. I mean, shit. You saw like if you've seen haven't seen that like Capcom survey. You know, they ask all the players that filled out the dang survey of like what age bracket do you fall under. The two biggest age brackets were 30 and 20, and then in third place was 40. All right, so there is a good chunk of people that grew up with video games and have continued to like video games, and all of a sudden video games are just a normal thing. They're no longer a child's thing. Depending on your favorite video game, it's either considered a child's game or not. You know what I mean? It's more like accepted from like the massive amounts of from the massive amount of like general population of people. And plus, you know, you can thank like specific individuals that have just like propelled and skyrocketed into like the mainstream media. To be like, oh, how did you get rich and famous? Blah blah blah. It's like, well, I just play video games. You know, those type of people.
hours to play video games are very heavily diminished. And so because of this, when you go into a game, you feel that you want to min-max your time. So what do? You make sure that you know where you should go, what the best leveling strategy is, all of the things that will help you accomplish as much as you could have back in the day when you had less responsibilities, but this time accomplish all of those things in a shorter amount of time. What I can understand that this happens because you only have a few hours to play a game, I think it actually is a fallacy of gaming currently that happens to us as we get older. We try to cram all of the experience in as much as possible. This is akin to purchasing a cake. And because you know that you don't have all week to eat this cake, you're leaving on a vacation, you just try to eat the whole cake right now. You end up feeling sick. It is not the type of experience that you're looking for. What you
I mean, yeah. I think. I don't know. When I was a kid, I could easily like play video games for like I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours in a single section. Like after I get home from school, get done with my homework or whatever, and then not have any responsibilities and just play from like, I don't know, 4 until like midnight or whenever I got home from school, like 3, 4 p.m. until like midnight or even a little bit after. So I don't know. I think even per session back in the day, I was simply like doing like big sessions even back then. So it's like I don't know what happened because like I still try to like do like long sessions. I mean, like comparably, I don't think they're about the same length before, like the same like per session length as before, but like I think it is like demonstrably different. Like maybe instead of like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours, it's more like 4, 5, 6 hours ish, something like that. So yeah.
You really miss in gaming is not the ability to fully complete your character and get to the end of the game. You miss the amount of time you had to enjoy games in general.
Yeah.
And by rushing to the end,
Yeah, like there, as much as people say they hate being inefficient with their time and spending a bunch of tries on a boss or simply even exploring a game, that's where all the immersion happens. That's where all the connection happens with you and the video game. That's just where it happens. It's not like you need to jump through the hoop and it's like, okay, time goes on and I need to jump through another hoop. And then time goes on, I need to jump through another hoop. And it's like, I need to be efficient with my hoop jumping. Okay, it's like I can go from point A. Like if you're supposed to go from point A to point B, back in the day, I would go like all everywhere else and then hit point B. But now, as I get older, it seems the trend has been like, instead of maybe going to point A, maybe I won't do all that other bullshit. Maybe I'll like veer off like a little bit. Maybe I'll explore a thing or two and then go back to B. It's like, it's just I don't explore as much. I don't feel like failing as much because I know if I spend like 4 hours on a boss, I'm just gonna be like, oh well, I pretty much have to end the session right after that boss or whatever, what have you.
And min-maxing everything and looking up reviews are decent because you got to like try to save your cash, but looking up like in-depth information about a game before it's even out, I'm using Black Myth Wukong in this video as an example, then what you're actually doing is robbing yourself of the experience of discovering the game for yourself. And instead of trying to cram a year's worth of enjoyment of a new MMO or whatever it may be all into the limited amount of time you have, what you're actually doing is removing any of the limited amount of enjoyment that you might have available for you. I'm specifically talking about people here with limited amount of time. If you can play the games 12 hours a day and you're a min-maxer, and there are people that enjoy competitive nature of games where it's not just about this concept I'm explaining. They really just want to be the best, and that is how they get enjoyability out of these games. That's fine. I have friends like this. But for people like me, where the enjoyment of the game comes from exploring and learning a new world, I would encourage, try just being okay with the amount of time that you have available and enjoying, min-max your enjoyment of the game instead of your character within the game. So if you're wondering what I miss most about gaming,
I think it should be part of the game's job to not put so much weight on character power. You know, let's say in order to gain character power, you should probably explore. I mean, this is a problem with D&D 5th edition as well. Like to gain levels, there's like two systems. It's either like combat XP or milestone. And if you do buy combat XP, it's obvious that it's like just choose a class that's like really good at combat and don't really worry about like RPing too much. That's why the whole phrase like murder hobo came into existence, where the combat is like pretty good and well thought out, but like the RP aspects of it are not so well thought out or rewarding. It seems that single player games or just games that are like that, like they don't really reward the player in different ways besides character power from doing non-combat things. I mean, like that's whole. I mean, because like I don't know, like could I say that like back in the day, if you chose to like explore like shit, there was more cosmetic stuff that you could just gain, like maybe a title, maybe a new piece of armor, maybe a cape or something, whatever. But now, where's all the cosmetics? Oh, they're in the store. Better go buy the new cosmetic. Better go looking spiffy and all that shit. So, I don't know. It's like a bunch of different things, honestly. But I mean, I get what you're talking about for sure.
It's the sense of curiosity, of equal footing, of exploration that we all used to have in MMOs when we landed on the beachfront.
Step. Go back.
The first.
Yeah, he was like talking about MMOs and yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I feel the same way about not just single players, but also, I mean, more so with MMOs in general, because I mean, you look at like MMOs today, it's like what's the most popular one is motherfucking World of Warcraft, all right? You know, that game is literally just meted it's data mined, it's meted the fuck out of. If you need to know how to do something, there's a guide for it. If you need to know how to farm something, there's a guide for it. If you need to know how to download an add-on, there's a guide for it. If you need to know how to use a guide, there's a guide for it. So on and so forth. But MMOs pose like so many other problems. Well, not other problems, but just many problems in general. Um, yeah, but I don't know. Maybe with Black Myth Wukong coming out, it'll restore some of the curiosity and exploration that people have for just gaming in general. You know, maybe I'll get it on day one, maybe not. Who knows? But yeah, overall, good video, cool, and yeah, that's pretty much everything I gotta say. And I'm looking forward to seeing more. But other than that, I'll catch you on the next one. Later.